you and I both love a bit of quantitative data, but sometimes, qualitative data and talking to people and case studies can be one of the most effective ways for us to really understand how a project or a campaign has, really resonated. So what do you think about sort of qualitative data collection?
Yeah, I mean, when there's the space and time and budget to do it, it's, I think, yeah, really, really important to do. And it gives that like added level of detail, right? Because there's only so much, no matter how amazing the Lucy's are who create the questions there's only so much that a quantitative question can really get under the skin of things. So yeah, my favorite evaluations I've worked on have been a mixture of quant, qual. I mean, in the past, I've done stuff like neuro testing. There are so many different like tools and techniques that are out there that really try to get to the different levels, like what someone will say, what someone's actually thinking, but might, subconsciously might not express what people might be thinking, but don't feel comfortable to say in a certain environment. Like just thinking about human behavior and all the different ways that might be needed to fully understand it. And it's also confusing, right? Because sometimes that data contradicts itself. And so you need, experts like yourselves to be able to take multiple different data sets and kind of be able to synthesize in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right that there are just so many different techniques that we can use to do evaluations. And I think that's one of the really important reasons behind kind of networking across the sector and across other sectors as well. So outside of perhaps the charity echo chamber, but beyond that, and learning about different techniques that other organisations are using. And we're always open, I think, at GAP to learning from other people and also sharing what we've learned and what's worked, but also what hasn't worked.
I think that's what's been really cool about coming from a different sector into GAP is that, the way that we did things in government was, I learned a lot there, but also I've learned a lot coming over here in the last 9 months or long I've been here, because with different kind of resources and different kind of audiences, you have different tactics available to you. And yeah, you and I talked a lot about wanting to learn more what other people are doing, always open for a coffee chat to talk about evaluation.
Absolutely. And I think another thing that's really important about evaluations is how kind of motivating they can be to you as someone who works on a project and to your team, and sort of understanding that, you've put all these hours into a project and you've put your heart and soul into it. And perhaps it's been going on for 2 or 3 years. Yeah. And that really the evaluation at the end of it can really be the icing on the cake of kind of showing you that this is having a real impact, beyond our, charity and, in society and sort of having planetary impact, and perhaps shifting things in policy terms as well. So I think that the motivational benefits of evaluations are sometimes overlooked, but I think they're so important too.
Yeah. And even if it isn't showing as much impact as we want it to show, there's a roadmap to how we can progress that. And that, should be a kind of exciting thing to come together as a team to think about that longer term planning that, might not be going as fast as we want, but there's a way to kind of push it more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think, like, because you've done a lot of behavior change work, do you think it's like harder? Because this is something that I always found hard when working in health behavior change, is that people always want to see like real world data. They want to see that kind of ultimate thing having changed. And when we think about the projects we do and realistically what we can shift, it's mostly like claims behavior or attitudes. And something that I find really interesting is like how you can explain that to people who might not be as knowledgeable about that kind of process. Like, have you, from your experience, what's that been like?
Yeah, I think as well, particularly working in sort of on projects that are trying to shift sort of advocacy or policy change, or perhaps even changing legislation, it's always going to be difficult for an organization to be able to, it's kind of, contribution versus attribution, and how much we can say that we have influenced that particular shift in policy. it's really difficult to disentangle the different influences that, the media has had, and organizational campaigns, and also, particular MPs with a particular interest, or other organizations, and there's such a complicated landscape involved that it can be quite difficult to sort of tease apart the relative influence that different organizations have had, which can
Yeah.
be frustrating. And but it's also, understandable. It's such a complicated area.
Mm.
And I think coming into the campaigning world, as I have at Gap, that's one of the challenges, I think, that I'm still trying to figure out and learn about, is how we can be better at measuring and demonstrating our contribution to sort of policy change. And
Yeah.
um, and yeah, I'd like to keep learning about how we can do
Yeah.
that.